Well, hello, welcome again to our reading of Homer's Iliad, Book 2, and I got up to line 198. So we left Odysseus. He's been stirred on by Athena. He's going up and down the ships, warning the leaders, the basileis and men of note, to calm down and not to run back to the ships. And it continues on from here. So Hondau demu tandra idoi onta tefuroi. So whatever man among the, well, demu, I'll say of the people, but generally demos means the land in Homer. So whatever man among the people, perhaps idoi, he might see, onta, and whom he might find, this is from F. Heurisco, this is optative, he might find onto, this is from bo'o with a double omicron. We get lots of funny spellings in Homer, mainly for the sake of meter. So yelling out, el la saken. Now this is a funny word here, it's an iterative, it's from the verb elauno, which is to drive, or to drive at perhaps, or to strike, and it's iterative. So he would continually bash him with his scepter. He would have at him with the scepter at him. So he would strike him with the scepter, and another iterative with the skirt. And he was continually, from Homocleo, continually reproaching him with a word. Now we get this daimonia again, which, as I mentioned before, one possible way in some contexts of translating this is to use the expression, what's got into you? Daimonia, what's got into you? Heso, imperative, sit atremas, quietly, and hear the word, imperative again, hear a word from others. Hoi seu fatero asi, who are better than you. This is a genitive, su, seo, genitive of comparison, who are better than you. But you, understand, are ptolemos kai an alkis, the alpha privative, you are unwarlike. It's an adjective here, I think. You are unwarlike and without alkis, which is valor. So you are unwarlike and without valor. Utepot, we get uti uti. So neither ever, we have to understand you are never en arithmios, you're never to be counted in war, nor in boule, nor in the council. In other words, you're a nobody. You're not even reckoned, you're not even counted as being in the war, nor in the council. Umen pos pantes basileusum in enthadiakaioi, nor perchance. Now this is a funny expression here. It's sort of a generalized expression. So not pos here is something like at all. All the Achaeans here will they rule. So not all the Achaeans here will rule, will be kings. Uk agathon, it is not a good, so not a good thing. Polykoirania, this is a first declension feminine abstract noun, meaning many kings. It's the act of, or the situation in which there are many kings. Koiranos appears to be an old word for a ruler. So it's having too many rulers is not a good thing. Let there be, imperative from Amy, let there be heis koiranos, let there be one ruler. One basileus, one king, to whom the son of twisted mind of Kronos, of the crooked mind, so crooked-minded Kronos, to whom the son of crooked-minded Kronos, that's Zeus, has given the scepter, and now the Ade here is really, it's just this line is regarded as being as an interpolation. It's not in the best manuscripts anyway, and it's a bit odd with the t and adi. The scepter and, well, perhaps also the themistas, well, whatever that means, something like judgments, in order that they might buluo, give advice fisi to them. It's a funny line, this 206, and it's not in the best manuscripts. So just do that again quickly. So let there be one ruler, one king, to whom the son of crooked-minded Kronos, that is Zeus, has given the scepter and the judgments, in order that he might, the subjunctive here, he might give advice fisi to them. The codices here for this buluac have Basil. If you look down at the apparatus criticus in the OCT, you'll see it's Basil ua, so, but it doesn't scan, and so there's something wrong with that line anyway. Scholars have suggested buluac there. Hos hoge koiranion diepistraton, and thus he, well, acting as a ruler, some render it lording it over them. Diepe is from diepo, which means to manage or conduct something, later Greek. So thus he, in fact, lording it over them, was conducting the army or managing the army. Hoi de agorendi, but they, Altis I think is back here, so they were making haste back to the agorendi. We get agora plus the det root here, back to the assembly from the ships and the tents. This is from Clysia. Again, another example of this genitive, feminine genitive uncontracted. You learn it as own, but it was originally own. This is from Clysia, the tent. So, but they were hastening back to the not the marketplace here, but the place of gathering. From the ships, we get, notice the accent on apot, so it's referring to neon, back from the ships and the tents, and then kept over by enjambment, ak, with a noise, cognate with our word echo, of course, but just meaning with a noise. Hos hoti kuma, as when a wave. Now, polyphlois boia is the genitive. This is one of these adjectives that people have argued about. It probably means something like loud roaring, something like this. You consult the commentaries on this one, because it's one of those words that of much discussed meaning. As when the wave of the loud roaring sea. Now, this is from this is a middle, I think, from bremo, to roar. One of the epithets of Dionysus is bromios, the roarer, the one who roars. So this from bremo, probably middle. So the wave of the loud thundering sea roars against the great Igi Allo. I think that's the shoreline of the beach. Smaragde de Pontes, and the sea. This is from smarageo. It means to crash. It's an onomatopoetic word, I think. So it doesn't come from any particular roots. It's just smarageo, to crash. It sounds like it is. So the sea crashes. Alloy de resdont, or others, accordingly, were sitting. Ere to then, and that's that, we've seen this many times, where the then is really a thesan, it's a third person plural passive, so this is an aorist passive without augment here. So others were sitting down then, but they were being restrained, cathedras, well, literally in their places, we might say, and were being restrained in their places. So that's the others, so we get a men, and now we get the de. Now we get the story of this unfortunate fellow Thersites, who is one of the sort of anti-heroes in the Iliad, if I can use that term. Thersites, the others are all very tall and fit and strong and attractive. Thersites is the exact opposite in every respect of these things. So, but Thersites, still, munos, alone. We get a lot of funny vocabulary in this bit, it's a bit hard. So, ametro epes, it literally means unmeasured in his speech. So, unmeasured in his speech. Ekoloia. This word is only here in Greek. It's from kol-o-i-a-o. So it's koloi with a iota subscript, and then it's an alpha contract verb. It means to make an unseemly noise, apparently. It's only here. So Thersites alone, who was unmeasured in his speech, it's imperfect, was making an unseemly noise. Who... Fresin heiesi, this is that personal adjective. And so this is a feminine noun, so this is the feminine dative plural personal adjective. So his mind. So in his mind, eide from oida, he knew words which were akosma, unseemly, and many. So this is what you call a hendiadas, we'd say in English, who knew in his mind many unseemly words. The Greek says words unseemly and many. So who knew in his mind many unseemly words. We'll hold that one for a minute, but yeah, so, but ou katakosmon erisdemenai basousin. We have to supply something like he said here. We've got an infinitive here, you see. So it may be after this oida. He thought, but not in an orderly way. Understand, he thought, maps in vain, demonai from erisdo, to quarrel with kings. So, but in a way which was not orderly, he thought that he would strive or argue with kings, maps in vain. Al hoti hoi aisata geloion agerioisi emenai. Again, we've got to supply the verb he said, I think, here, or he thought. So it's whatsoever thing. The aisatop is that verb to seem. So whatsoever thing seemed to him. So something like he spoke. Whatsoever thing seemed to him, emenai, to be, gel oion, a thing of laughter, to the Argives. In other words, he says whatever he thought might give a laugh among the Argives. So he just says silly things. In other words, he's a bit of an idiot. We might say a smart aleck in English. So he said, so I've got to supply, he said whatever thing he thought, or seemed to him would be a thing of laughter to the Argives, but he came as the Aiskistos Aner, the most disgusting, disgraceful man under Ilium. So he came under Ilium. He came to Ilium as a man who was the basest. This is a superlative here. Aiskistos. It's a hard word to get into English. He was the worst man to come under Troy. Now we get again some funny vocabulary here, a lot of words that only occur once in all of Greek and a little bit difficult. This is again making fun of this fellow Thersites. So the first one is pholkos. This word it's only here in Homer. They do occur elsewhere in Greek, but it's only here in Homer. So pholkos. Well, in fact, the first word apparently doesn't occur anywhere else in Greek. It means, so he was pholkos. He was bandy-legged. He was kolos. He was lame in respect to his other foot. In other words, lame in one foot, but it's lame in respect to his other foot. Toe goes with omo, which is from omos, meaning shoulders, the two shoulders for him. And kurto is again a dual. These are all duals. So his two shoulders were curved or perhaps hunched. So the poor fellow was a hunchback. The next bit's rather difficult. It's sun okko koti. This is some kind of perfect dual participle connected with sun echo. So his two shoulders were brought together epistathos upon his chest. So his two shoulders were hunched, they were brought together upon his chest, connected with sun echo. But now another of these very rare words, this is phoxos, which means something like pointed. So, but he was pointed huperthi above in respect of his head. So above huperthi, we could take that adverbially here. So, but above his head was pointed, literally he was pointed in respect of his head, accusative of respect. And another rare word, phedne, which is something like, this verb here is again, it's probably connected with ep and theo, and it's some kind of perfect here, from epantheo, which is to sprout, to grow up like a flower, hence to sprout. So phedne lacne, it's woolly hair sprouted from it, or on top of it, that is his head. So let me just do that bit again, that's quite hard. So he was bandy-legged, he was lame in the other foot, so lame in one foot. His two shoulders were curved, and they were brought in upon his chest, but above his head, so he was pointed in respect of his head, so he had a pointed head, and thick woolly hair, this is the phedne lacne, grew or sprouted on top of it. That is, on top of his head. So he's a very unattractive fellow. Ekthistos dakilei malista ein aedi Odysseus. He was hated most of all by Achilles. Yes, he was most hated by Achilles and by Odysseus. For ne kai eske, this again is an iterative, so it means to quarrel with, abuse, for he was continually quarrelling with the two of them. That is a duel there, referring to Achilles and Odysseus. So he's continually quarrelling with the two of them. And at that time then, keklagon, this is, it's from the verb klasdo, to make a piercing noise. Keklagon, it's going to be a, well, it's a participle, it's a reduplicated form from klasdo. So he was making a loud noise, and it's oxia, and lege, he from imperfect from lego, he was speaking harsh, or literally sharp or harsh, onadia reproaches. But the Achaeans, kotionta, were, so ekplagos is violently, it's an adverb from ekplagos, terrible or violent. So the Achaeans were angry, were violently angry with him, and now the then is again from Thersan. It's passive, but it's got the sense of they were displeased. So they were displeased, they were upset, any thumo in their heart. It's really very similar meaning to kotio here. So they were angry, they were, well, it's almost, again, they were finding fault with, they were displeased in their heart. But he, crying out, makra is used adverbially here, meaning from afar. He, crying out from afar, neke'e, he was abusing Agamemnon, mutho, with a word. Not a very wise thing to do, especially for Thersites, who's already disliked. But we'll have to wait till the next video to hear what he has to say.